Welcome back to the channel, boys. It has been a while since I've been able to say that. Geez, it's been like 3-4 months since I filmed the video. I'll get into that a little bit later. But for this video, I just kind of wanted to do like a general update on life, update on the vet, update on the Sandrail. In the last couple of videos you saw, those were the ones that I filmed like a couple months ago, and it was kind of like iffy on my filming. I don't think I did the greatest, so I wanted to kind of circle back here and explain everything so that we know what's happening moving forward with the Sandrail, the vet, and all that stuff. There's also been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. Wanted to kind of show that. So I think the best way to do this is I'm just gonna go front to back on the Sandrail and just kind of show you guys what's been going on. It looks a lot different now, so that's pretty cool. Starting off at the front here, we did have to get this new front assembly because the old one we had around these corners here, it was dry rotted, so we ended up having to get a new one of those because we didn't want that to snap while we were riding. I think I mentioned something about this, but I don't think you guys have seen it on the Sandrail yet. Welding, that's what we're here for. That's what we've been doing. You guys haven't seen most of that welding. This new, I guess you could say, addition to the front assembly here. Some of this stuff is tacked, some of it's fully welded. As you guys might remember, we took out a few bars here. We have a lot new front supports here. These are gonna make it stronger for us, better. All these right here, you can obviously kind of tell what's new and what's not, but this looks really, really good. I'm excited for that. You can see we have the gas tanks mounted up down here. These are tacked in as well, so these aren't fully welded in yet, but these are kind of good to go here for the most part. Those are both in the, the spots that they need to be. Seats are in, great news. So this is kind of how we're gonna be looking here. One of the problems that we were having was with this, kind of why we had to redo this up here, is because the steering rack was hitting. It was really weird. This connects to that little box down there, and it was hitting here when you turn the wheel, but we have that clearance now, so I don't really know why that was the way it is, but it's fixed and it's stronger now, so that's good. Like I said, the seats are all welded up. Moving back here, as you can see, the motor stands in there by itself, so that's an accomplishment by itself there. They had to weld on this kind of extension down here. We did not, actually I'll get into the whole frame extension later, but they had to weld this on, and then they have this, one of the support plates for the transmission. Transmission's connected to the motor here with that transfer plate that we got custom made, if you guys remember that. Our motor mount back here, this is kind of like this is a weird area. We have a little bit of we had a little bit of problems with this motor mount. I don't know, so we might be missing a part, something might be going on. This motor mount is a little iffy. We've got a little bit of spacing in here. Not sure what's going on there, but we'll figure that out. The bars that the seatbelts connect to, I forget what those are called. Do you know what those are called, Johnny?
Oh, I have no idea, to be honest. I'm blanking.
Yeah, those have a special name, what these are, but this is what the harness bar, that's what it's called.
The harness bars,
yeah. This is what the seatbelt harnesses are gonna connect to. This is just still tacked in, it's not fully welded in yet. But I think that is all that's been done like welding so far. Actually, I missed some stuff. We did end up extending the frame higher a little bit. So as you can see, this part right here, that's all new height-wise, but we did get lucky and we did not have to extend it backwards. We just extended everything higher, and I guess that we were still able to fit the motor in here and everything. Eventually we will cut out in some area, cut out the bars so that we can have a removable portion of this. We have the parts for that, but I'm not sure where we're gonna put it yet. Just have like a removable portion, maybe something like this, these two areas, and then on that side as well, just so we can take the motor out if we need to.
So those will just clamp in, is that how it goes?
Kind of, I'll show you.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have like this piece right here that each piece connects to each side of the bar, and then you can disconnect it. So you can actually pull the bar off. So you can just take a section of the frame off. Yeah, so if we ever need to work on it or something, the motor's just not trapped in there. Moving forward with the Sandrail, kind of have like a tentative list here. When it comes to welding, we need a few tabs and brackets made for the front dash area for that switch panel, the radiator, the intercooler, some of that stuff we need to tack on. And then the rest of the stuff, whatever we can, we're just gonna zip tie on, some of the lines. We don't need the best welding bracket for a tiny little, brake line or clutch line or something like that. I kind of want to just sort of wrap this thing up. Remember a long time ago when we said this would take a month, and now here we are, like 6 months later.
12 months later.
Yeah, for real. One of these days it's gonna be done. But okay, we have new welding as well. We want to put some sort of support right here. This is Zach's idea for some reason. He cares
like
about
the shoulder.
Yeah, the shoulder support. I guess Zach wants to be safe or something stupid like that.
He wants
But,
to be safe.
something here to protect your shoulder, so if you roll over, you don't like crush your arm or something. Which I guess that's important. As you guys can tell, this thing is like not sanded. This was a big pain to sand this thing. At first, I had these big plans, you know, sand it down to the bone, make it perfect. But that is not gonna happen anymore because it, you know, we probably have like 4 days into sanding and it's like half sanded maybe. And what we sanded is already like kind of rusted over.
We'll get there. Here's an example.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a pipe sander, which can do this, like sand the actual, just it kind of wraps around and just kind of does the whole thing. We're gonna get what we can, and then these little corners and stuff, we're just gonna leave it. It'll be okay. We'll survive. Yeah, we'll hand sand what we can, knock off what we can, but like, I'm not gonna strip this thing to the bone. It's not the best frame in the world. It doesn't matter.
It's gonna get beat up.
Exactly. It's gonna get beat up anyways. Prime it. Just do the black rattle can, kind of like we planned again. Have some more stuff written down. We still need to do the exhaust. We still need to weld on the floor. That's gonna be my next step here. I gotta take some measurements and figure out what we're doing for the floor. I'm not sure if we're doing a solid floor yet or the mesh. Originally, I planned on solid floor. If the mesh is like a whole lot cheaper, I'll just go with that. It'll be lighter anyways. We're gonna bring the floor all the way up to like right here because we're gonna be worried about rock chips and things like that. Like you don't want a stone coming up and hitting you while you're riding. Just things like that to think about. Somewhere back here, we might want to do something with this turbo box. It's a little janky. I'm not gonna take this off right now, but this was like welded by the last guy that owned this, I think.
This is how it came.
Yeah, this is how it came. It's a little rough. I also want to do like new bolts or something here because these bolts like barely stick into the block. Like this, there's like 3 threads into the block. So that's what that's looking like. We also, one of these days, need to mock this whole thing up and kind of figure out where those tabs and brackets need to go. This thing, as you know, has obviously been at the shop, and this is a pretty cool shop that I've never given you guys a tour of. So I think now would be a good time to do that. So to start off at the shop here, we have Johnny, which is, I think this is probably the most prized possession here. Right next to this Expedition. This is, they do a bunch of different stuff in this shop. This shop does detailing, wrapping cars, and then there's the welding. So like it's owned by 3 different guys. You know, they all kind of have their own little car business. So I think that's really cool, you know. I'd love to go in and get a shop with my friends, but I am actually poor, so I can't do that. So this is where they're doing some of the wrapping. He's working on this car right now. This Viper is getting detailed. I think this thing is really sweet, actually. It's only got like 8,000 miles. What were you saying, Johnny? This got like 8,000 miles on it or something?
Yeah, 8,000 miles.
Jeez.
$250,000.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's $250,000. This is since I'm a Viper guy, this is a TEA, so track attack, you know, V10, 10 cylinders. I'm about to have a heart attack. For a car that's never been driven, because it's got the carbon fiber package too, track package, everything, and it's amazing. This is the best thing you can buy with your money. $250,000, so $250K. This is what it goes for. You have to see it in person. I'm speechless.
I don't know if you guys can tell, but that whole trunk deck with its carbon fiber.
Behind it. So the
really?
other guy, the owner, took it to a different place to get it clear, brought it out of state.
Yeah.
I think it was out of state or in Michigan. I don't know where it was. But when they clear brought it, they cut the bra lines on the car, so they scratched it.
Oh.
So if you can see it right here, because Bex was telling me, like, you can see the line right here. This is where they used the razor blade and everything. So they literally went through a court, to sue everyone and everything.
No way.
And now they took it to Bex's shop to get it detailed correctly and hopefully get it done like the best he can, because there's a lot of marks.
Yeah.
They really screwed him over.
And then we got this scat pack over here. This is Kevin's. He was detailing this up a little bit, just kind of fixing up his car. This is sort of like the community shop for some of my friends and stuff. Everybody kind of knows the owners and stuff, so that's pretty cool. So I also kind of wanted to like apologize to you guys. I haven't really been consistent with this project, and I also haven't been consistent with YouTube. I know it's kind of like unfair to just like stop posting and like stop giving you guys updates on the Sandrail. I kind of had to step away because I was struggling a little bit in school and in college. I'm like reaching the end of my college. For those of you who don't know, I have like a double major in accounting and finance, and I was kind of doing bad in some of my classes and in school, so I needed to focus on that a little bit more. I feel like I've always felt like it's been tough between, you know, having YouTube and having other things you like business and YouTube and all that stuff, and then also being in school because, you know, I want to be successful in YouTube and in business and in work and whatever I'm doing, but I've also sort of felt like school was holding me back. I mean, I'm like way too far in school to quit. I'm almost out of there, but like I just kind of had to take a step back, and I'm sorry for that, but we're back now and things are going to be much better. But again, I am sorry. I appreciate those of you who have been sticking with me. Really means a lot. I promise I didn't forget about you. So updates on the Corvette. Not a whole lot's really been going on with the Vet. It's in storage right now. I don't know if you guys remember this. I don't know how much I talked about this, but I was having an oil pressure issue on the Vet. My oil pressure was still reading and it was still going up and down, but the numbers were extremely high. I was getting like 100 PSI, 125 PSI, and I was worried because if your PSI is really high, that means a line could burst, therefore you could lose oil. Therefore, you won't have oil because it'll all be all over the street. So my buddy Alfonso, if you guys remember with the Evo, he's helping me out with fixing that. We're hoping it's just a sensor, but I wasn't really sure at first because usually from my past experience, when a sensor goes bad, it just doesn't read or it just doesn't work. In this case, the sensor is still reading and it's still working, but it's just reading extremely high and what seems to be the wrong numbers. I don't think something's actually really wrong with it and the actual oil pressure, kind of because I feel like if the oil pressure was actually like 130 PSI like it says it is, then the car would have just blown up by now. Honestly, that's what I think would have happened. I'm home right now for the holidays and I think I'm just gonna pay him to fix it. It's kind of a big job because the oil pressure sensor is behind the intake manifold, so you have to take off the manifold, all of that stuff. And I mean, I'm only home for a couple of days for the holidays, so I really just don't want to dig into that right now. I know some of you will probably like give me shit for like not working on my own car. When I work on my own cars, it kind of comes, some projects I choose to take, some projects I just don't want to deal with, and I'll just have somebody else do it. What I kind of gauge it on is like, one, if it's fun, you know, if I'll totally do an exhaust job or something on my car, something I enjoy, but if there's just a problem and I don't want to deal with it, I'll probably just pay someone else to do it. That's just kind of how I gauge my projects. However, it also really just depends on how much money it's going to cost to fix it. Like, I mean, I'll do brakes or something like that I think is a quick, easy job. You really have to take into account the opportunity cost there. So like, okay, if this is gonna cost me $100 to do, is this gonna be a 3-day job? Or is this gonna be something I can do in 10 minutes? Like, I kind of like to judge, is it worth it monetarily? So I'm actually gonna be selfish right here and give you guys some life updates. As you guys know, for the past couple of years, I've been bouncing back and forth from Detroit to Grand Rapids and stuff because I go to school in Grand Rapids, but that's kind of where I grew up is in Detroit. Right now, I'm renting a house in Grand Rapids. That's where I go to school and that's where I work. It's kind of, I need to be there for school and work, obviously. But my kind of, sort of tentative plans are to move back to Detroit during the summer, once I'm out of school. Hopefully everything goes good, you know, we graduate, we get out of there, and then I'd like to move back over here and then start looking at buying a house. I want to buy a house, but you know, I mean, who doesn't? But that's kind of like, those are just the goals. We're just putting the goals out there, gotta manifest it, speak it into existence, you know? To be honest with you guys, a lot of problems with this project have come about because I just cannot afford this project. Originally, I thought this was gonna be like a 4 or 5 grand project, but we're reaching like 9 grand right now, and like that's just a lot of money. And I honestly just don't have as much money to fund this project as I probably should have had when I started it. That's definitely one of the things that's been holding me back with this thing. But you know, it is what it is. Always over budget a project, like always plan to have more money when you're having a project. In this new semester, I'll have much more time because I won't be in school full time, so I can work full time, which hopefully we're gonna be using that money for the Sandrail. You guys can probably tell I'm like a little sick right now, so it's kind of hard to talk, and sorry if this sounds weird, and I'm also sorry I've been a little absent for you guys, but there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff coming soon, and this project's kind of sort of looking like it's kind of maybe coming together, maybe a little bit. I did just kind of want to give you guys some sort of a general update, keep you up to date, or I guess get you back up to date so that we know what's going on in the future with this build. Like I said, boys, I really, really appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next one.